Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Liu. You're listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast presented by Betway. For all your sports betting activities, hit the QR code that you see here on the screen or follow the link that you see in the description of the episode. Raptors win again. The tank might really be dead, man. I mean, we're joking around about it, but Raptors have now won 6 of 7. And I know it's just the Pelicans, and the Pelicans have had, quite frankly, a more miserable year than the Raptors, which is pretty crazy. I mean, the Pelicans won 49 games last year, and this year have been, the most snake-bitten team with injuries all season. And this time around, at least it was a lot more competitive as compared to when the Raptors beat the Pelicans on the road. That was early in the season. Raptors beat them so bad, but they were also playing players that you never even heard of, quite frankly. This one, they had Zion Williamson, who for some reason had the evil Abed goatee from Community, basically. I don't know what was going on with that look. But nevertheless, Raptors win tonight 113-104. Yet another really, really strong defensive effort by the Raptors. I mean, when you think back on why have the Raptors won 6 of the last 7 games, the answer is just they have been really good on defense. I think that this is something that might have been the most unforeseen element of the season. This team was really struggling. And if you listen to the show, obviously, I'm pretty big on the defensive end of the floor in terms of what the Raptors need to do better. They needed to do a lot better. And yet, when you look at the stats, coming into this game, last 6 games defensively, Raptors were number 2 in the NBA at giving up a defensive rating of 106.4, just second behind the LA Clippers. Now, of course, this is just cherry picking this last 6 games. But when we're trying to describe as to why the Raptors have been on this sudden win streak, it's because their defense, within the span of a month, went from giving up 155 points, which is the most they've given up in franchise history, on the road in Memphis. And then they've also gone from being basically top, or I guess bottom 2, bottom 3 defensively all season for months. And then they flipped this switch, and all of a sudden they've gone really stronger. Now, of course, you can also point to different things happening. When you replace Emmanuel quickly with Davion Mitchell and Jamal Shed in those minutes, we've seen that pattern all season where the defense picks up. Now, of course, the offense drops off, but still, we're talking about the defensive side of the floor. That's really picked up. When you get Jakob Poeltl healthy, this team has, generally speaking, been decent with Jakob Poeltl on the floor defensively. He's played more minutes. He's been more healthy. When you introduce Bruce Brown back into the rotation, and Bruce has been really, really back up to speed here, and he played a really big one in this one, that really changes what you can do defensively, because you're eating into the minutes that we're going to basically, rookies and sophomores who just, generally speaking, aren't that great defensively, unless you're Jamal Shed. And then, Chris Boucher coming to play more minutes. He's been really solid. But, just in general, I feel like a switch has been flipped. I think that it was a bit of a wake-up call for this team when they got everyone healthy, and they were kind of banking on that. When we get everyone healthy, you judge us then, judge us then. When they got everyone healthy, and they still lost to, the Magic, who were banged up at that time too, and they still got, just spanked by the Knicks. It felt like a huge wake-up call in the sense that, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the injuries as an excuse. More than anything else, they needed to sort of pick it up and get together. And I think credit to them, man. They've been playing great defense. And once again tonight, holding the Pelicans to 43% shooting. I mean, the Pelicans got more free in the second half. But at the same time, they only had 40 points at halftime, and the Raptors did a great job defensively against them at halftime. When you look at the stats, I mean, the first quarter, the Pelicans shot 5 of 22 from the field. And then by halftime, the Pelicans were shooting 31% at halftime. That included 2 of 14 from 3 and 12 of 18 from the foul line. You knew that wasn't going to continue because the Pelicans were going to make more of those shots. And eventually that's kind of what led to that turnaround. The Pelicans even, took the lead after the Raptors played with the lead for the entirety of the first half, leading somewhere between 10 to 15 points. Raptors offense wasn't good enough to really blow the game open. But they had the lead, and their defense was really good. And again, even the open shots the Pelicans did get, they weren't making them. Third quarter, the Pelicans won a very impressive run. You could tell that the Raptors weren't as locked in. The Pelicans were a more aggressive team. Darko called the first timeout about a minute and a half into the second half, and that was after the Pelicans went on a 4-0 run. The Raptors really couldn't get their offense going either then. And then, the Pelicans started hitting some threes. A big three by Trey Murphy III, trailing the play from 30 feet out in transition, knocked down the three. That gave the Pelicans their first lead of the second half, and that sort of completed the comeback for the Pelicans, at least at that time. But credit to the Raptors, because the Raptors never really let the Pelicans get further than that. Like, literally, the Pelicans came back, took the lead for like 1 or 2 points, and then the Raptors started fighting back, and their defense started getting really locked in again. You saw their offense really, really push to a different level in the fourth quarter. Raptors scored 39 points in the fourth quarter after scoring only 18 in the third, so completely rectifying their mistakes from the third quarter. I mean, third quarter, the Raptors played poorly, but the Raptors, were really strong in 3 of the 4 quarters here. And in that fourth quarter, defensively, there were some great sequences, but offensively, getting guys like Bruce Brown, who was able to chip in with some offense here or there. Jamal Shed getting to chip in with some offense here or there. Chris Boucher with a huge 3, which gave the Raptors a nice little bit of momentum. And then RJ, Scottie, and Jakob, who were the 3 main creators for the Raptors tonight, did a really good job of executing, passing to each other. A lot of tic-tac-toe sequences, passing between the lines, because of the fact that the Pelicans did a really good job of throwing zone at the Raptors. And generally speaking, the Raptors have actually done a really good job against zone this season. Like, zone has not really been the kryptonite for Toronto most of the year, because of the fact that, they really do a great job of passing. They a lot of their offensive sets already involve guys in the high post and, cutting off of the ball. So, like, when you are trained to essentially play off ball, like, that's actually a good thing that, defenses are zoning against you. And yet the Pelicans, you got to give them credit too. They did a really good job of contesting shots. I mean, they had 11 blocks tonight. They did a great job protecting the rim. Zion had 3 blocks. Yves Missi, the rookie, who I think will be going to the rookie sophomore game, he had 3 blocks here tonight as well. Did a really good job protecting the rim. But even guys like, DeJounte Murray and Trey Murphy, these guys all sort of presented length at the rim. And the Pelicans basically were like, look, we're just going to shut down the paint against you guys. You can shoot as many threes as you want. You're not going to beat us from there. And that made for a good strategy, because the Raptors really didn't have the 3-point output to sort of like, put it on the Pelicans. Even when the Raptors led in the first half, I mean, you could argue the Raptors could have blown this game and wrapped it up at half if they could just shoot their threes. But Scottie went 1 of 7 from 3, and a lot of those were early in the game where he was trying to establish, trying to be aggressive, coming off of Player of the Week honors, well deserved. He led the Raptors to a 3-0 week. He's been playing great basketball here. But he couldn't get the 3-ball going. And then, Davion Mitchell, they were going under on him over and over again, and Davion wasn't even looking to take those threes. And then when he did take those threes, when they weren't going under, like, they were still not going in until the fourth quarter where we finally knocked one down. That was pretty big. RJ, he knocked down the first 3 of the game for the Raptors, but then went 0-3 from then, and then Grady, he had a lot of foul trouble in this one, so he barely even played. But even the chances he got, he wasn't really able to knock those down. 1 of 4 from 3 from Grady as well. Quite frankly, it was really just Chris Boucher who single-handedly carried the Raptors in terms of the 3-point output. The Raptors went 9 of 33 from 3. I mean, it was Chris Boucher who really got it going, really got it unlocked. Some wrong-footed, side spinning threes. They look awkward, but they feel amazing when you see them drop through. And that kind of created just a little bit of gap for the Raptors in the fourth quarter, where they were able to take that momentum and carry it out over the second half. But still, it was a competitive battle. And I think that's why, this game feels satisfying at the end to sort of come away with the result here. Quite frankly, it was a difficult game to watch on the offensive side of the ball. The Pelicans felt like, even though the Raptors did a good job defending them, they felt like they could still force their way into the foul line first and foremost. I mean, they got to the foul line 30 times. They only have themselves really to blame, because they went 20 of 30 from the foul line here. And that's why I found it so funny that Willie Green, the Pelicans head coach, got himself ejected in the fourth quarter over a call where it's like, yeah, Zion lost a shoe going to the back, but like, he actually didn't get the type of contact that would, necessitate a foul, especially considering Zion's charging into every single play. So you can't call the foul every time. And it's not like Zion wasn't getting free throws. He went the foul line 8 times. Like, that's a pretty good number. You know what I mean? Like, so over a very dubious call, he loses his head. He goes onto the court and like is looking for the ejection, gets ejected. That gives the Raptors 2 free throws to sort of extend their lead at that point, and it doesn't really charge the Pelicans at all. And also at the time, like, I was tracking this at halftime, it was 14 fouls called on the Raptors to 7 for the Pelicans. At that point, Orlando Robinson, who's the Raptors' backup center, and in this one right now because he's on the 10-day and Kelly Olynyk's got a calf strain. He looks like he's not going to be serious, so you'll probably see him back soon. But still, Orlando Robinson picks up 4 fouls in just one shift alone. And then Grady Dick picks up 4 fouls in the first half, including taking a charge at an ill-advised time. But still, he had 4 fouls. And the Raptors had, again, 14 fouls on the Raptors to 7 for the Pelicans. And then by the time the third quarter started, because I thought it was going to be one of those games where, okay, the whistle goes one way in the first half, goes the other way in the second half. Second half, the game starts, it was 18-7 when it comes to foul calls on Toronto versus foul calls on the Pelicans. And you could say, yeah, you know what, Zion was going aggressive to the rim. I mean, it's not like Raptors don't got guys to go to the rim. Scottie was going hard to the basket. RJ was going hard to the basket. They were not getting the calls like that in the first half. Now, granted, where I could see where Willie Green was upset was in the fourth quarter. I thought the Raptors did a better job of playing, with the contact in mind. I think Scottie drew 3 fouls where he kind of hooked a guy who was trying to get position with their arm, which is a foul, but also hooking them and going up with it, drawing that sort of contact. That's what got Scottie to the foul line a few more trips down the stretch. Although Scottie did have the 2 technical free throws and a 3-second call thing. So still, we're only talking a couple of calls here. RJ was able to play through some contact, get to the rim. Unfortunately, he was 0 for 2 on the 0 for 3 on the night. I mean, that's continues to be a little bit strange, but nevertheless, it was a physical game, and more than anything else, it was the defense that won it out. I think the funny thing is, despite the Pelicans having size, the Raptors did a good job of, using their size as well. I think Jakob Poeltl, his offensive rebound was a huge factor in this one. 21 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. One of Jakob's best games of the season, quite frankly. The 5 offensive rebounds, though, is so demoralizing, I think, for the Pelicans because they were getting those stops. They were coming over to rotate at the rim. The Raptors really had a difficult time finishing at the hoop for a lot of this game. And then it was Jakob who was always there on the putback. And I think Jakob really dominates these matchups where he's just he's got the size, he's got the strength. Missi is a good defensive player already as a rookie, which is a great sign. We kind of knew that he would be that coming into the draft. But at the same time, he is still skinnier, and seeing Jakob throw his weight around and winning these loose balls and then just, going up for the putback was huge. And then, of course, when the Pelicans were doing a great job of, denying and being physical on the perimeter, the Raptors did a great job of getting the ball to Jakob in the high post and playing offense from there. And they got several great plays out of that. And I think it was actually a really good timeout by Darko. I think in the third quarter where the Raptors were really struggling offensively to execute. Meanwhile, the Pelicans were going the other way and scoring pretty easily. They got the ball after timeout to Jakob in the high post, got Grady to sort of set a little screen for RJ. And then RJ was open. Jakob threw a nice high-low pass to RJ, and RJ finished around the basket. It's a play that they run all the time, especially coming out of timeouts and stuff. But it was a nice reminder to sort of settle it in and play a little bit more through Jakob and a little less through the perimeter. And I think that kind of got them going. I think also Bruce Brown, very quietly, very versatile player, as we all know. This is a great example of his versatility. He's typically, the Raptors would obviously have Kelly Olynyk playing the backup center minutes, and Kelly's been playing great of late before he strained his calf. Orlando Robinson, as the backup center, clearly doesn't have the exact same skill set as Kelly. They're very, very different players, and he's very inexperienced just in general, but also specifically with the Raptors here. So you actually saw a lot of Bruce Brown playing basically backup center. And he did a great job of getting into the seams, getting into the short roll positions where, again, the Pelicans were giving up that sort of floor in the middle, the area in the middle of the floor there. And he was able to receive those short passes, make a move towards the basket, use a little jump hook that he finished quite a few times, or just dish it off to the next guy and sort of just create a little bit of downhill momentum with his cutting and movement. And of course, that's not a surprise to anyone who's watched Bruce Brown very closely. I mean, he did play a lot of time in the Eastern Conference, so we've seen him a lot as an opponent with the Pistons, with the Nets. He's played a lot of small ball center, and I thought actually offensively, he got the Raptors unstuck a little bit. But also at the same time, more than anything else, it was the defense, and it was the defensive intensity too. When you think back to what has been the big difference here, I feel like Scottie setting the tone defensively, and this has been mentioned a lot by the coaches as well and the teammates. But Scottie setting the tone defensively has been great. I mean, there's been some sequences of late where the way Scottie's getting involved and making himself a presence on both ends of the floor here, it's not even just necessarily the box score stats or even the highlights. It's the moments in between that I start to feel like he looks like he's involved in every play. And he's like scrappy and competing his way into every play. And I think the first quarter, when the Raptors really came out, and again, like they established an early 25-20 lead, they're defensively really strong, holding the Pelicans to 5 of 22 shooting the first quarter. I thought Scottie came out defensively and did an amazing job. First off, Scottie had the hardest job all night, having to guard Zion Williamson. And Zion, I'm not going to lie, he boomed Scottie a few times in terms of like, Scottie trying to be physical. Usually Scottie likes to press up on guys, use his strength. And like against 99% of players, well, not 99 is maybe aggressive, maybe 90% of players, Scottie has a strength advantage. He's able to use his quickness, move his feet, but also use his big frame. And he's really big for a wing, and he's able to sort of physically stop another player from driving around him just by taking up that space. Zion is unique. Like Zion, there's nobody else like Zion, really. So when Zion, feels that contact, him spinning off of Scottie and then getting to the spot, he's so quick and he's so strong that when he spins, you're never going to get back in position against him, because even the Scottie, who's great at using the length to come back and challenge and even using the strength to sort of fight back to his position, that doesn't work against Zion. And so Zion definitely got him a couple times. But I thought Scottie's like effort in the first quarter was really, really noticeable. Like there was a stretch there where he had worked the pick and roll, drew a second defender slightly towards him, and then threw the lob to Jakob Poeltl. Then on the other way, coming back down, he got a steal on transition. He took a three, unfortunately airballed it, which, whatever. Like, we know that the three ball is like kind of like the luxury item for Scottie. And tonight he was 1 of 7, so the luxury wasn't quite there. And then coming back down, though, after he missed a shot, he was able to stop the transition by just like playing really aggressive transition defense and forcing the Pelicans to get back into their set. And then a little bit later on, I thought there was a play where he made 2 straight help rotations. One where, he was, at this point, he was guarding Javonte Green because Zion had sat down. So he was guarding Javonte Green, who like is not somebody who, he didn't respect him all night. He left Green open the whole night. So he's now in a roamer position rather than sort of being the primary defender against Zion. So he has a lot more ability now to play help defense. With 5 seconds left, he realizes instinctively the Pelicans were not going to get a better shot than a 3 from the top from CJ McCollum. So he rotates over, completely leaves his guy, comes over with a late contest, forces CJ into an air ball. Another play where I thought he was able to stop another transition by scrambling back and helping Grady Dick contain the ball and force the Pelicans instead from driving in to like swinging back out. Then he got an offensive rebound after setting up RJ for a 3. And he set up RJ for another shot, which unfortunately RJ missed that one too. Then he had another driving layup. This is after the timeout. The Raptors set 2 screens for him going downhill, probably a Spanish pick and roll. And Scottie got to the rim, finished the layup. And then he had another play where he got into the post. He saw that he had an advantage in transition. He got cross-matched with DeJounte Murray against him. So he, instantly got to the block, held his hand up, got the ball, pass to him. Pelicans started throwing a double team at him, and Scottie instantly threw a high-low pass to Jakob, who was darting to the basket for a layup. Like, small stuff like that, but it was just like a lot of activity when you watched it, and I was just really impressed. Like, those moments where you feel like a guy is like everywhere on both ends of the floor, like that's the kind of feeling that like, Kyle gave me every single minute of watching Kyle play as a Raptor. And, we've seen versions of Scottie where he's not as involved. This season, he has been involved, man. And I feel like in this winning streak, the more that they're winning, the more that he's taking that to another level. Like, seeing that, and again, like, you wouldn't know that by watching the game with the box score, because he had, 21 points on 6 of 21 shooting, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. That didn't look that great. But his effort all around, especially at the start of the game to set the tone, was huge. And then he had a great, chase down block again. He just continues to have those type of moments. 3 steals as well for Scottie. And then, of course, the 8 assists, 11 rebounds. Like, this is a night where he really struggled offensively, but he found ways to get to the line. He found ways to sort of set up his teammates, and then competing, like, on the defensive end. I think that's the thing that's, like, really setting the tone for the whole group. Like, you can give Davion credit. Davion does deserve a great, bit of credit for just, like, how much he's played defense here and sort of influencing the Raptors' defensive turnaround. Jakob's always been huge. Tonight he was great. RJ even made a couple of stops too, which I thought was great. Some verticalities at the rim that I thought were really good, or just staying in front of his man. He did a really good job on that front. Bruce Brown's been huge, but like, it's Scottie Barnes who is giving me that sort of feeling of like, he wants it so bad. Even on a night where things aren't going his way, he still wants it. And when you saw the fourth quarter there, when he had 10 of his 21 in the fourth quarter, it's kind of similar to what they did in the Hawks game. You know what I mean? That first win over the Hawks on last Thursday, he had 11 of his 25 in the fourth quarter, and tonight he had 10 of his 21 in the fourth quarter as well. So another hard-fought win for the Raptors as the Raptors win 6 of their last 7 games. By the way, they play the Wizards next, and then the Bulls. So I don't want to count the chickens just quite yet before the eggs hatch, but like still, they're shaping up right now for their best stretch of the season. Like this has been their best stretch under Darko, period. And you know, I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't know. Like, is this gonna be one of those things where, like, the Heat, for example, they had an infamous year where the Dion Waiters led Heat went from like 11-30 to like then they finished the season like 40-41. So they had basically an 11-30 start and then a 30-11 finish. I don't think it's quite gonna be on that level, but at the same time, I think there's clearly something here, which I know I had previously dismissed because I didn't necessarily see the Raptors having the defensive capability to sort of stay consistent, but they're showing me a lot defensively right now. So it's been surprising everybody for sure, but at the same time, it is refreshing to see the Raptors continue to play good basketball here. They're building some momentum, and you know what? Momentum towards what is a fair question because I think, like many other people, I'm kind of already in like we're already here in the record, so we might as well go get the best pick possible. But like I keep saying, man, it's also really important that the players that are going to be here and build your foundation for the future are going to be playing and growing and developing good habits. And right now, you're seeing what good habits look like. Raptors played really good tonight. So we're going to take a quick break here. Our first of the show, we're going to hear from one of our sponsors. And then, of course, we want to hear from you as well. Leave your comments in the chat, whether you're watching live on YouTube or on Twitter. And yeah, when we come back, we will take those questions and we'll bring in co-host Alex Wong.
Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
Just recently hit the big 4-0. What about you, bro?
A little more recently 4-0, but we are both in the 40 club.
Let me tell you, man, being an adult really comes with its share of challenges.
Definitely. I think both you and I are homeowners, and I think we're both also dealing with mortgages in life.
Yeah, man. Mortgage rates, choosing the right terms, dealing with paperwork. It can be really overwhelming,
I still don't know how that works.
Well, listen, that's where our friends at Dominion Lending Centers come in, man. They make the whole process simple and stress-free. Whether you're renewing your mortgage, hunting for the best rates, or if you just need advice, they're here to help, bro.
You know what? I am looking for that advice, and I think that's why I'm going to visit www.dominionlending.ca.
Yeah, man. www.dominionlending.ca. Take the guesswork out of your mortgage and step into financial confidence with our friends at Dominion Lending by our side.
Okay, I'm going to bring in our co-host here, Alex Wong. Alex, I think the number one barometer for whether the Raptors are playing well or not is, are they getting you to tune into Raptor games? So I want to start there. What's going on, bro? Did you watch this one?
Of course, man. I'm always tuned in to my favorite team, the Toronto Raptors, especially during this exciting 30th anniversary season. So, yeah, of course, man. It was really fun to watch them win in Atlanta, and it was super fun to watch them get that W here tonight in Toronto, along with all the Tangerine fans.
I was gonna say this.
Was that believable?
You sound like you're reading the Associated Press auto-generated AI.
Sound like Alex
recap.
Johnson over here. Raptors win 114-103. Scottie Barnes deserves All-Star reserve consideration this Thursday.
Go. So. Yeah, man, big player of the week award, man. That's Scottie's first of his career, and now he's got
Josh Lewenberg.
He's joined a list of 12 players. Yeah, I'm actually literally reciting what Josh tweeted out. But yeah, there are actually 12 players who have now won Player of the Week honors for the Toronto Raptors. Maybe I'll throw that as a quiz towards you later on. But first, we want to get to the questions from our chat, and we see here that we have over 1,000 people listening live. This is beautiful to see. It's time now for the Tangerine fan inbox, and Tangerine is the official bank of the Toronto Raptors, foundational partner of WNBA Canada and the NBA Canada. And of course, they're not just fans of basketball, they're fans of basketball. They're fans of fans who have their own nickname for each guy in the starting five, or fans who stand 5 inches from the TV all game, or fans who can recreate every player's layup package while sitting on their couch. And if you're hearing this, there's no doubting your commitment to the Raptors. Fans like you are at the heart of what makes this game great. So this year, for the Raptors' 30th season, Tangerine is turning the spotlight from the court to the stands and celebrating the way Raptor fans support their team, because this is how we fan. To learn more, visit tangerine.ca/basketball. All right, Alex, what's the street saying, man? What's that saying? What's going
Let's
on?
see, man. Shouts to the chat. Sorry I haven't been
Okay.
locked in tonight. Just listening to Will recap the game. Kuven here says, what do you think has been the main reason for the team's recent success?
Yeah, like I mentioned in the first half, the main reason for the Raptors' turnaround right now is on the defensive end. The Raptors went from being a bottom 5 defensive team for the vast majority of the season to, in this latest stretch here, when the Raptors have won 6 of 7, they have been the second best defensive team in the league in that stretch. Now, granted, there are probably some opponents in there that don't look that great. You know what I mean? Like, okay, the Hawks missed a couple of players, and the Pelicans are just, not great in general. But also, they also played great defense when they saw the Boston Celtics too, which I think really kicked off this whole stretch here. So I think the majority of the credit on the defensive end goes to Scottie Barnes, has really set the great tone defensively for them. You see him making multiple rotations. You see him consistently bumping up the stocks. I mean, 3 steals and a block tonight against the Pelicans, while also taking on the assignment of guarding Zion Williamson. And of course, like, other guys contributing. Davion Mitchell's played great on-ball defense. Bruce Brown's played great on-ball defense. And even guys like RJ are stepping up to the challenge defensively. So I think this has been a really, really promising stretch for the Raptors to show that they can actually play defense. Because quite frankly, for the last year and a half, this team could not play any defense. And so, yeah, it's taken everyone by surprise, but it's been a 2-week spurt of defense by the Toronto Raptors, and they've been winning because of it.
Yeah, well, speaking of this, Jared said, getting in the early fire Pat Delaney post because the defense is now too good and keeping us in games. Yeah. Can Pat Delaney win over the chat this season?
Yo, talk to me, chat. Talk to me. What happened to Pat Delaney, man?
No, but
this guy's orchestrating a great defense now?
Pat's losing even when we're winning. Like, I don't think there's a way out for Pat. Like, Pat is going to be the scapegoat when the Raps lose. He's going to be the scapegoat when they don't get the top draft lottery odds. Like, what's the way out for Pat Delaney this season?
You know what? Honestly, I feel like people just need to latch on to somebody, man. I feel like for Pat, what can Pat Delaney do, man?
What can Pat Delaney? I think you got to do a commercial or something, man.
Well, when have we ever had an assistant coach doing a commercial, bro? Like, let's focus, man. Do your job.
We gotta break new ground here, man. It's time to make history.
Honestly,
you tell me having an assistant do a commercial is utter woke nonsense?
A little bit, yeah.
Utter coach nonsense.
No, that would be kind of crazy, man. I've seen even head coaches doing commercials. I'm like, whatever. Like, no, Nick Nurse is gonna tell me about Fisherman's Friends. Like, I guess fine, but like realistically, I don't really want to see it. But from the assistant, that'd be crazy. I think honestly, what's been established is that if Starkel does get ejected from games, it looks like Pat's the guy to take over. Like, he's like next in line.
Right. I know that wasn't James Borrego I saw today after Willie Green. Who I think it is.
Yeah. There's like some sort of like Pelicans, Hornets connection where I feel like they always have each other's coaches, and then I think the Magic are kind of in this circle. Like, I don't know. It just feels like these guys just bounce around these certain
triangle
teams,
of mediocrity or something, man.
Yeah, actually, that's a great way to describe those 3 teams. But like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Pat has his moment. You know what I mean? Like, Darko's got to get thrown out of the game again. Probably protecting Scottie as always.
Yeah, Pat draws a crazy like ATO play or something. Like, he's got to do something like that.
Well, I mean, when he coached us in a media game, he actually did draw a nice ATO for us.
Listen, I hate to break it to you, but nobody cares about no media game.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
$10 here from Dara K said, I remember a few years back when Will went on React Pods criticizing Chris for making bad decisions, lacking spirit. Now it's time to give Chris his flowers and campaign for him to stay as a vet. For people that don't know, Will and Chris are actually like friends now. Like,
friends is a little strong, bro. But
during this summer, this past summer when the Ball Don't Stop run was here, and who was the guy that was killing it? Oh, Bones Highland was the highlight
of
the Ball Don't Stop run. Chris was there. Norman Powell A little bit out of shape at the time. Couldn't
Hey.
have predicted this was coming. Couldn't have predicted this almost near All-Star season was coming. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
And Chris was heading out. We were walking to our car afterwards, and then Chris went out of his way. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but Chris did go out of his way to like roll his window down, say what up to you,
Yeah.
dap you, all of that stuff. And you guys
Oh,
chatted pregame, postgame. It sounds like a Greta ad.
I
You talked to Chris pregame, postgame, during the game.
I thought you
You
were gonna
guys
say
played
that.
Mario Kart.
Oh man, I actually would love to go to Greta with Chris.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna mention that pregame
Yeah.
when we were just on the court and they were all warming up and stuff. Like
Oh,
I
you
told Chris,
you
like
told him to give you how many? 40? 50?
I asked Chris for 40, and he legit had 39 points
So
in that run.
okay,
So.
this is the Toronto version of Shaq going up to Kobe before his last game
okay.
and saying, "I need 50."
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, yeah, all right. I'll take credit for
Don't
that.
bring me on if you don't want this.
No, I like this. No, Chris. Honestly, Chris is a good dude, man. Chris is a good dude. Like,
super happy for him, man. His shots are going. This is probably the hottest shooting streak he's had since like Tampa.
Yeah, I don't know. Something just happened. That's the other part too. It's like when you think of why have the Raptors been winning lately, their vets have just suddenly kicked into another gear. Bruce Brown, I understand, because Bruce has been a good vet in this league, and he was just overcoming knee surgery, and so he's healthy. He's playing well. You know, we know what he can do. Kelly, I don't know. I guess he had back issues, and then he started playing well, and then now he's got leg issues. You know, hopefully his body's able to physically hold up. With Chris, like we've seen with even under Darko, it's kind of similar to Nick. Like, you know, he's not necessarily always going to play. Even today, it felt like he was the last guy to even get into the rotation. You know what I mean? Like I don't even think he played in the first quarter, but in the fourth quarter, he's closing games. And like that you know, the game that he got himself going when the Raptors lost in New York, he was the third stringer. So it was like him and Garrett Temple on the court, and he was like, he had those 10 straight points. And then the next game, the Cavs game, he won the Warriors game for them, basically single-handedly in the fourth quarter. Tonight he was awesome in the fourth quarter. Like, he's been great. I think the other thing too is just like, you know, he looks more calm. Like, he doesn't seem as nearly as wild. You know, I think that, you know, part of that's just maturation. Like, he's 32 now. He's a vet, like, on this team. He's a vet in general. But, you know, even when you hear him talk, and he's always been a good speaker, you know, all that kind of stuff. But, like, when he spoke up for Scottie, and not even for Scottie. Like, you know, I don't feel like people are really going at Scottie right now. But, like, the way he spoke for Scottie, I thought did a really great job of just highlighting the improvements that he's made and sort of the efforts that he's made. And I don't know if people listened to the practice interview from Sunday when the Raptors held their open coaching seminar, which they invited, which is a transition that's gone back to, I think, Dwayne Casey's time in Toronto. It's over a decade now, where, you know, the head coach of the Toronto Raptors, whether it was Dwayne Casey or Nick Nurse and now Darko Rajakovic, they would always invite, like, you know, basically any coaches who want to sign up. So, like, I think there were like 800 coaches that showed up on a Sunday. But anyway, the Raptors went through practice, so they did media interviews and stuff. Chris actually really detailed just sort of how much, like, basketball that Scottie played around the city and the various runs, and it felt like Scottie was always there with Chris as well. So I don't know. I mean, the economics of the business are such that, like, you know, he's an expiring contract. He's a guy who can clearly play. A lot of teams could want him. A lot of teams could use him. And the Raptors right now, even though they're winning, you know that their eye is on the main prize. And I think that, you know, I would just say the front office is probably as much in on the tank as most fans here. So we could see an end to Chris's career as a Raptor. But if this is the last memories that we get of him as a member of Toronto Raptors, like, I think he's always gonna be a fan favorite. Like, he's played with that heart. You know, Jack had that line he said on the broadcast tonight where it's like, with certain players, you can see, like, they leave a bit of their soul out there. You know, like, there's certain players that kind of flow in and out. And, you know, even when they're on the court, you don't necessarily notice them, or even when they're playing well, you don't get a feeling out of it. There's, like, an emotion you get from watching Chris, and, like, there's a real pride in that, you know. And he's been undeniably one of the Raptors' success stories when it comes to, like, development and you know, carving out a career. Like, this guy was just a two-way guy. You know, how many two-way guys, like, float in and out? Have the Raptors ever really hung on to a two-way guy for that long? I mean, I guess Fred. Even Fred, actually, I think that was before two ways. It's been really impressive. We love Chris over here, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the chat advocating for the Raptors to keep Chris past the deadline and This is another comment here from Daniel. This team got to stay together past the trade deadline.
Okay.
Are you
Okay.
becoming attached to this team and its players to the point where you're like, don't trade these guys?
I mean, look, I'm not gonna trade these guys just for
After
nothing.
all the props for Chris,
No,
this guy's
no.
like, yeah, man, let's trade him.
No. I need like value. I'm not just gonna give pieces away. Like the Raptors aren't like in a financial situation where they need to shed money or whatever. Like it's actually the opposite. They can take on some money. But yeah, I mean, there's some impending free agents. You know what I mean? Like, and guys like Chris, like I wouldn't mind if the Raptors re-sign Chris. Guys like Bruce Brown, I know Bruce has actually already said that he actually wants to re-sign in Toronto. I think he gave the interview to Raptors show with Matt Bonner and Blake Murphy, and he talked about sort of he actually wants to be here. And I think the funny thing is everyone's like, well, we kind of want to get assets for you in return, but he's actually playing good ball. I think more than anything else though, like, yeah, I mean, when you look at the makeup of this team and sort of like the young players that they're are coming through, when you think back to the start of the season, Jonathan Mobo, Jamison Battle, Jakob Poeltl, like these guys aren't even getting minutes anymore, right? Like they're 9:05 time and all that kind of stuff. Jamal Shad's getting minutes still because of the fact that IQ's been injured for the whole year, but that's more of a freak occurrence. I think the plan is for those guys to get their minutes in the future, and so unfortunately for some of these vets, they're playing great, but like that's also a period where I think the front office. If there's any silver lining in these wins, which is so crazy to say, but like, yeah, it's that their vets are playing great and reestablishing their value. And like, I hate that that's sort of like what this time of the year is about. I kind of hate that's what tank is about either, because like you can't just fully be in on the Raptors winning, but still, like if you get a good offer for these guys, like just take it. You know what I mean? Like I think Bruce should at least get you 2 seconds, especially the way he's playing right now. I think the same thing for Chris. Maybe even a first for some of these guys combined, if you're going to sort of move them in the same deal. It does seem like the Jimmy Butler trade is probably holding up the entire market when you really think about it, So, and it's not like the Raptors can force any of that. The Raptors are trying to facilitate the deal. So, like, you can't facilitate the deal if the main pieces of that deal are not yet being moved. And, yeah, I don't know, man. Pat Riley, bro, wake up, man. Sleepy Pat. Go ahead and trade Jimmy Butler, man. You've already suspended him indefinitely. Like, there's no point in sort of keeping this thing, dragged out. But it does seem like the Jimmy Butler trade could potentially be that domino that moves like a Chris Middleton. I've seen Zach LaVine get pulled around now. That makes kind of some sense too. You know what I mean? Like at least Zach is a productive player who's young, who can maybe help Miami. Seems like Miami wants to stay competitive. So we'll see. But yeah, as for everyone else, it's been nice winning. But the front office is gonna move the way they move, man. If they backstab DeMar, they'll definitely move Bruce Brown in a salary facilitating type of trade.
Yeah, so Jimmy was suspended at least 5 more games today by the Miami Heat because of his continued conduct detrimental to the team, which also included this morning at shoot-around. He was told if he came back, he was going to come off the bench, and Haywood Highsmith was going to start over him. Again, I'm very tired of this Jimmy Butler thing. He's very self-aware of the situation, like posting and trolling on Instagram as well. So, yeah, we have to remove Haywood Highsmith from the NBA All-Average Team consideration because of today's news, because now he's too culturally relevant.
Yeah, this is nuts. I mean, we all know that he didn't necessarily bench Jimmy Butler. Like, he's nowhere close to even being anywhere as good as Jimmy. By the way, Haywood Highsmith, another guy who's come to Toronto for those Toronto programs set up by Ekam Nagra at Ball Don't Stop. But, I mean, man, he's not even average when you look at his stats, man.
I don't even remember him
bro.
at those summer runs, man. He not even average at the summer runs.
Last five games, he has scored a total of 7 points.
Yeah.
So if you're Jimmy Butler,
no
what
wonder,
you've done
no
for
wonder
this franchise.
Well, the thing with Jimmy at this point, he's just looking for any reason to keep the suspension going. And the trade deadline is like next Thursday. So now he's finally worked it out where he's been suspended at least 5 more games, which takes him to the trade deadline.
Right, but this is crazy. Jimmy's like giving up he's getting fined like $2 million of his contract, maybe $3 million of his contract. Like,
yeah,
the suspension is one thing, but you don't get paid when you get suspended.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell an NBA player what to do, but it's like I feel like there's a scenario where he could have just kept playing with the trade request.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, you don't need to force this because, like, if you've made it clear that you want out, you can still just keep playing with the understanding that they're going to trade you.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think right now the whole league is just waiting to see where Bradley Beal's willing to waive his no trade clause. To be honest.
Oh yeah, there's so many different layers holding up this trade. You know what I mean? Like there's really like tons of checkpoints. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Who else is even getting traded besides this? Like, is Cam Johnson going to get traded? It feels like the Nets want to bump another guy.
I think the next two big names will be Cam Johnson and Vucci Nick Vucevic. Yeah, who you share sneakers with. Yeah.
Wow.
So
I'm gonna miss those red and black sneakers, which
riveting.
are actually Paul George's, not Vucevic's.
Riveting trade deadline coming up. Trade deadline's dead.
Yeah, well, don't say that, man. We might do a live show.
Oh man, we're definitely gonna do a bunch of coverage. Yeah.
Hey,
and y'all gonna tune in.
We're gonna tune in, baby. Come on, man.
Yeah. Jakob Poeltl got the chain tonight.
He deserved it. Yak was hooping, man. Yak was great. I mean, like one of his best games of the season. 21 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 offensive, 10 of 15 from the field. Yeah, I think every time I watch Yak, I'm like, why don't more centers develop that little short like floater?
Right.
That little push shot is so money. Like, he doesn't have to bang nearly as much as most other centers. Like, he doesn't mind doing it, and he's a good finisher around the basket. Otherwise, you saw the 5 offensive rebounds, tons of putbacks tonight with those rebounds. But like that little short roll option where he's just going to that push shot's great. And also, I actually didn't go to the game tonight. I decided to kind of just skip it because like it's like a crazy windstorm in Toronto, and also quite frankly, like the Pelicans and the Raptors combined don't even have like 30 wins. When you look at it, what do they have right now? The 26 wins.
The Pelicans stink, but we'll talk about that later.
But one thing I did notice watching a lot of the warm-ups is, so Davion will come out and do his warm-up, and he'll go through whatever he does. Then he'll stick around and wait for Jakob to go through the majority of his warm-up, and then he'll make sure to actually step in place of an assistant coach just to work through pick and roll scenarios and pick and roll feeds to Jakob. And this rarely happens. Players rarely actually work out in tandem with each other. And I feel like Davion's actually taking extra time out of his actual pregame routine to specifically, get a couple more, bonus reps in with Jakob before every game. And I think that like the pattern here for me is just like Davion's at like a ton of 905 games. Like if you ever wanted, a Davion Mitchell signature or something, or I don't even know. But my point is like he's just always at 905 games. He's even trying to break into, like, I've never seen a player so eager to do media as well. It just feels like he's really trying to like make a home here. And again, he's another guy that we don't really talk about as much as a potential trade option. That could be a possibility too. He's already been traded once this year from Sacramento, but like on the flip side, he's brought a lot of spirit to this team. And I just really rarely remember any player going out of their way to practice with a teammate in warmups, but he does a great job of that. So
yeah, great warm-up report. Post game Will is gone, huh? Gone for a little bit.
Oh man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired, kind of tired, man.
Yeah, same. That Atlanta trip, man. It's just
I slept like 9 hours.
Tired as out. Yeah, Jerome said he slept like 11 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
So, which is a lot of sleeping, man. What up, Jerome? Next one, let's do a couple more here. Glenn Sama.
Glenn Sama.
Why did I just
bow? Give him the red nod, man. I see that.
Raps could win 6 in a row. So their next one is Lunar New Year game in Washington. I believe their arena is in Chinatown. So it
is in Chinatown in DC. Yeah. Stop giving the Asian head nod.
Sorry.
I see you, bro.
And then they host Chicago on Friday.
Yeah.
So if they win both of those, that'll take them to 6 in a row.
Bro,
does Darko consider buying the team steak?
When was the last time the Raptors won 6 in a row, man?
Oh man,
might have to use the stat music inaccurately again.
Probably got to go back to the second half of that first season of Scottie Barnes' rookie season, if that.
It's been a minute, man.
Before that.
Raptors 6-game win streak.
So as you're checking, this is the last time they talked about this on the broadcast tonight. The last time they won 4 in a row was 2 seasons ago, back in February. And did you know this was right after they traded for Jakob Poeltl? So the Spurs came to town, and then
they beat the Spurs.
They beat the Spurs, and
with Jakob on the Spurs.
Yeah, and then Jakob, I guess, stays behind, like swaps locker rooms, And then do you remember they lose to the Jazz? I think it was a pretty
that was tough.
embarrassing fourth
Yeah,
quarter.
we gave up 130 in that one.
Yeah,
Jordan
122.
Clarkson.
Yeah, 122 to 116. And then they went on the 4-game win streak, starting with Detroit, beating Detroit at home. Fred at 35.
Okay.
Jakob goes for 30 against Orlando.
Yes, because I remember interviewing him right after that. Because
Mhm,
we used to get those interviews.
And then the Pelicans were involved as well because they beat the Pelicans.
Sure, yeah.
And Jakob
that was Caribbean Heritage Night. I remember because they handed out doubles to people in the arena, which was sick.
Well, Jakob also put up a double
Oh,
with 21 points and a career high 18 rebounds, and then they beat the Pistons again in a 95-91 snoozer in Detroit. Pascal with 29 points. That was the last time that this team won 4 in a row.
Right, and I think at that time it was like, okay, we were a little confused. The Raptors could have potentially gone into tank that season as well. Things were not going well in that year. That's probably the messiest year the Raptors have gone through recently. Fred was struggling. Out of contract, changes agents to Rich Paul. You know what that means, Clutch Sports gang. I think Scottie started that season slowly as well, sophomore slump. It just never really gelled together. Pascal might have had some injuries in that stretch too, if I remember correctly. They just were getting destroyed every day at center.
Fred was shooting terribly to start the season, I think.
Fred was shooting terribly. They had one of the worst games I've ever seen, which was Raptors Bucks. That first quarter was on national television. It was crazy, bro.
Oh yeah, that was when didn't they not score or something for the first 6 minutes?
I think they shot 1 for 20 in the first quarter or something. It was so bad.
I'm pretty sure that's the last time they were on national TV.
Yeah, they were actually they deserved a 2-year ban. They needed to get a
what the NBA does now is at the start of the season, they'll have the Raptors in a couple of games, and then the first chance they get, they're like, yo, we're flexing that game out.
Yeah, we had one national TV game this year. It was Raptors-Knicks, and then they flexed that because it was OKC versus Cleveland.
Yeah, so
which
at the end,
a way better game, let's be honest.
No, for sure. Well, it's literally the marquee matchup. Yeah, the last... So that 4-game win streak, that last game, some of the guys who caught DMPs on the Raptors... that game, Juancho Hernan-Gomez.
Oh, I remember Juancho, man. From
Hustle.
Joe Wieskamp. That's right, baby.
Yeah.
3 Wheezy.
Yep, Malachi Flynn.
Malachi. Yep, another Pro-Am legend.
Wow, Jeff Down Jr. played 20 minutes in this W. So
Jeff Down Jr. There was a bit of a push for Jeff Down Jr. I believe he was 24 at this point, but still breaking into the league. Still on Nick Nurse's bench, but he's getting minutes now because the Sixers are pretty banged up. Who else was on that bench, man? Was that Thad Young? Was he playing?
Yeah, Thad Young played.
Thad was playing. Chris was playing. Precious was playing.
Please don't ask any more questions.
Christian Coloco was playing.
Coloco was a DMP.
Who else was a DMP that season, man? Oh my God, Ron Harper Jr. Was he on that team?
Ron Harper Jr. I believe was still plying his trade in Mississauga.
Delano Banton.
Delano Benton, did he leave yet?
He should have been on the team. Yeah, he should have been on that team. Man.
I don't see Delano on this one.
Yeah. So. That's tough, man. 2 years without winning 4 straight games. I know we've been bad, but damn. That's a crazy stat.
Yeah. So last one here from Nesta, who says that Pell's roster is so talented, yet they play so disjointed. Time to blow it up.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that it's just really underwhelming. We had this idea of we were gonna build, and we might still do this, but basically the non-stars of the NBA, where they're on any given night they could play at an all-star level, and you wouldn't even be surprised if they played at an all-star level. They may have even made 1 or 2 all-star games, but generally speaking, they're just a cut below of what an all-star player looks like. And I feel like the Pelicans have the ultimate non-star backcourt with CJ McCollum and DeJounte Murray. Who
they went out of their way to trade for this offseason.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like what the Pelicans really need is a true point guard who can really set the table and get the ball to their best scorer, which is Zion. It feels like Zion should have the ball way more than he does. Of course, Zion's not on the floor a lot. Yeah, the goatee looks crazy. He looks like he's trying to, hide. He looks like Shaq hiding behind a tree with that goatee.
It's like those baseball managers who get tossed and then they just draw on a mustache.
Yeah. He's Tony La Russa? No. I guess he kind of, yeah. Anyway, it's like those two guys just take all of the shots, man. Like, it's just like CJ McCollum, 21 shots tonight. DeJounte Murray, 17 shots. DeJounte Murray also had 14 free throw attempts, so he's using all of these possessions. And, like, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, they give you 22 and 21 points. Like, it's their offense still stinks. And, like, Murray hasn't really been good. It feels like Murray, by the way, defensively, man, it's just seeing him get cooked over and over again. Like, he used to have a great reputation defensively, but, like, the Raptors just straight back-cutting this guy all the time in this game. Yeah, super inefficient with those two guys, and they're just, like, need a point guard so badly, but those two guys are both shooting guards. I don't know. They have pieces, I guess. Like, if they, I mean, they've already started to offload some of their depth, like losing Dyson Daniels, for example, to trade for DeJounte Murray was not a good trade on its own right. Plus, they sent extra first going the other way. Like, it's not good. But I also think that it's one of those situations where it's hard for the GM to pull the plug because this is the team he built. Like, this is the team that, David Griffin built. Remember, there was like a lot of David Griffin hype because he was the Cavs GM and, had a lot of media connections too. So I felt like there's a lot of hype behind him. But I mean, I don't know, man. This Pelicans team is a mess. And of course, like Brandon Ingram, like, what's going on there? It doesn't seem like they're going to re-sign him, but he's also injured, so they can't really trade him. So they're just going to let him go for free. Like, that was the main piece that they got back for AD.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I know they had a lot of injuries to start the season, but even watching them tonight, like, there's so much talent there, and they just stink. They're no good. So right now on Betway, the Pelicans, like you mentioned, only have 12 wins on the season. Their over-under is 23.5 wins, which means they have to double their win total that they currently have for the remainder of the season. They're 10 games out of the play-in. Oh, check that. They're actually 13 games out of the play-in.
Okay, yeah.
So they don't really have a lot to play for right now. And like you mentioned, they're in a weird spot. Doesn't look like they're going to be like trading all their players or like having a fire sale. Do you see them getting over 23.5 wins at the end of the season?
I think they probably do in the end. They kind of just have a few too many veterans, and the rest of their schedule doesn't seem that difficult. What is difficult is that they're bottom 5 on offense and defense, which is why they're in the predicament that they're in. But of course, like, Zion's healthy, and like, come on, you saw what Zion looked like tonight, man. Like, Scottie tried to play great defense against Zion. Zion still shot 13 of 18 from the field, so. Yeah,
but
I do think with Zion back in the mix.
Zion like every year. And then,
but bro, when he plays, he's amazing.
I know, but the problem is the when he plays part.
Yeah.
So,
well, he
24 wins. I think they'll get there.
Yeah, they'll probably get there.
So the odd for the Pelicans over is 1.80. Make sure you hit the QR code below. Check out all your basketball betting odds on Betway. All right, let's take this next break, and then when we come back, you'll have some awards and other things to hand out.
Let's do it. We're going to take this quick break and do exactly what you said. I don't know why I repeat that.
Why did you do that?
Go ahead, man. It's on you, man.
Shush.
It's the 30th anniversary, and our friends at Axe are joining the celebration with a limited edition collection that's as original as the Toronto Raptors themselves.
The collection includes 3 essentials to keeping you fresh. The body spray features 48-hour high-definition scent, blending sea mist and grapefruit to keep you unstoppable throughout the day. The deodorant stick is perfect for staying confident, with a scent that keeps you smelling irresistible while showing your Raptors pride. And the body wash delivers a luxurious lather that leaves you feeling clean and smelling astonishing after every shower.
For over 40 years, Axe has drawn on body spray research and the expertise of the world's leading perfumers to craft quality fragrances and help people feel confident in their own skin.
Find the Axe Toronto Raptors 30th Anniversary Limited Edition collection at all major retailers, Walmart, Shoppers Drug Mart, and Real Canadian Superstore. But act fast because it's only available for a limited time.
Celebrate the milestone with Axe and the Toronto Raptors. Channel the freshness, energy, and unstoppable spirit of our local champions, because smelling great is always a slam dunk. Love that, man. Smelling great is always a slam dunk, baby. Okay, you know what? Let's actually get to the Axe freshest play of the game first. And then we will get to our stars. Not as going to be as hilarious as you guys ending up on the Jumbotron in Atlanta down at State Farm Arena and you keeping a absolute straight face as the cheerleaders tried to force you to do a swag surf. You were indeed unshaken. You were a buoy inside of that swag surf. But we're going to get out our Axe's freshest player of the game. And for me, you know, what was really impressive watching this game was the pairing between RJ Barrett and Jakob Poeltl. A lot of times having to negotiate pretty tight spacing. And there's a nice sequence there in the fourth quarter where RJ brought the ball up, waited until Yak got in position there as the trailer, threw it to Jakob at the top of the floor, and then RJ made a great back cut. DeJounte Murray, who I already said, he's not been good defensively, despite his reputation. He gets back cut. RJ goes to the rim. Jakob throws a nice bounce pass to RJ, and RJ throws down a huge dunk. I thought that was a really good punctuating moment. It got a big pop out of the crowd, and it got the Raptors a 12-point lead midway through the fourth quarter. So that was your Axe's freshest play of the game. In terms of the other awards from tonight, your 3 stars. First star's got to go to Jakob, man. Jakob was excellent. 21 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks for Big Yak. 10 of 15 shooting from the field as well. You know he's always going to shoot a great percentage. Only thing holding him back was the foul trouble. He had 3 in the first half, so that was a bit limiting. But also at the same time, you just needed rim protection against the Pelicans because they weren't shooting the 3 well. They had 6 of 28 from the field. I thought Jakob and Scottie in combination did a great job of, you know, just sealing things defensively at the rim. Granted, like when Zion goes in there, can't exactly stop him, but still, like if the damage is limited to just Zion, I think the Raptors can still take him. And that's what ultimately happened in this one. Jakob was huge. They also got their offense going a lot more by playing through Jakob, which really was, it's a clever move by the Raptors, and it's also something they can do more often. Your second star, I give that to. Honestly, I don't know, man. I mean, Scottie played a great game. I'm gonna give Scottie the second star. I mean, the 6 of 21 shooting, including 1 of 7 from 3, is not great. I think that I mean, he just struggled on that front. The nice thing is he got to the foul line. He's been getting to the foul line a lot, man. 10 free throw attempts in Thursday's win over Atlanta, then 7 in the second win over Atlanta on Saturday, and now 9 here tonight. It's probably the most prolific that Scottie's been at getting to the foul line tonight. In a very physical game, he forced his way there. That kind of got his efficiency back up in this game, but it was more the defense. 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, a block. He just played a really, really good all-around game. And, I mean, it just need the shots to fall a little bit better than this, but still, did everything else that he possibly could. And then your third star, RJ has a good shout for this, 17, 6, and 6 for RJ. But I think, I don't know, for me, seeing what Chris did in the fourth quarter, once again, like, Chris is always the last guy in. Like, I feel like even Orlando Robinson was in before Chris, and he's on a 10-day. But when Chris gets in the game, he makes the most of it. 14 points, 4 rebounds, a steal, 18 minutes, 5 of 10 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3. So that means he took 9 of his 10 shots from the three-point line. I think the Raptors really needed it, though, because the Pelicans did a great job of sealing off the paint, playing a lot of zone. Someone needed to actually shoot the 3. What I didn't like to see tonight was the Raptors actually hesitating and turning down 3s, which I think maybe even played more into what the Pelicans wanted to do defensively. But Chris has never been, known to turn down 3s, man, and he knocked them down as well, especially in the fourth quarter. So shouts to Chris for giving the Raptors that spark. Your Gerald Henderson Award winner, I don't even know. Like, none of these guys were particularly impressive. Like, all the guys you thought were impressive would be impressive. Even a Trey Murphy, you gave them 14 points. Like, didn't he sign a $30 million extension? Like, you should expect 14 points. So I'm gonna give it to Yves Missi. Even though he went scoreless, this is I just find it funny that he played 22 minutes, was in the starting lineup, finished the game, and he still got 0 shots from the field. 0 from 2, 0 from 3, 0 from the free throw line. This guy just never got the ball. It's partly
Asian Ben Simmons.
It's partly because he's played with CJ and DeJounte Murray, and those two guys just don't love to pass. But, seriously, watching this guy, the game just flows on around him. He still played really good defensively. I think he was a big part of what the Pelicans were able to do, protecting the rim. But, just poor guy, man. Like, even Orlando Robinson got more shots than this guy. He's on a 10 days. So, yeah, Yves, you're getting the Gerald Henderson Award out of pity. So, to wrap up here, as I mentioned before, Scottie Barnes earned Player of the Week honors, which was great. Scottie had led the Raptors to a 3-0 week, was really efficient, was playing great basketball on 2 ends of the floor. He became the 12th Raptor in history to earn Player of the Week honors. Can you name the other 11 players, Mr. Alex Wong?
Yo, let's go the next hour. Give me the other 11 players through via basketball reference.
You really?
No, I just want to freak Jerome out.
Oh, okay.
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter, 7 times. Yep.
Okay. Wow, 7, not 7 time.
Yeah, 7.
Kyle.
Kyle, of course.
DeMar?
5 times for Kyle. DeMar actually leads with 10. DeMar's had some
Okay.
good weeks, apparently.
So that's 3. Chris
Yeah.
Bosh.
Chris Bosh at CB. That's 7 times as well.
Did Kawhi play enough? Kawhi?
Kawhi got 2 Player of the Weeks, of course.
With the
man. Come on now.
Raptors?
Yeah, man.
Wow. I thought he was playing like once a week. Okay, so Kawhi.
Yep.
Pascal?
Yep. Pascal tied with Kyle with 5.
Gary?
No. Gary
Gary
Trent Jr.
didn't hit when he
his-
was like going crazy that week?
I know. He was averaging he went 6 straight
Yeah.
games for Gary Trent Jr. with 30 plus, which is inexplicable. It might be more inexplicable than the Raptors winning 6 straight here
Yeah.
if they
I'm-
take care of
I'm,
business this week.
I'm
I'll give you
going-
the hint that the rest of these guys have all only won it 1 time.
Okay, so I got 6 right now. So there's
Yes.
5 more you're saying.
There's
right?
5 more in addition to Scottie, obviously.
I think
the 12th.
Fred, when he was going on one of those tears.
Yep. Fred Van Vliet. He's
Okay.
one of them. Yep.
Oh man, now it's getting tough. You might gotta give me hints for these now.
Yeah.
Am I missing
really.
any obvious ones?
You're missing one who right now could be a first-time All-Star this season.
He's still on the Raps.
No, he's not on the Raps.
He could be a first time. Oh, Norm.
Yeah, Norm Powell.
When did Norm snap?
Yeah, Norm had some stretches. I think this was probably right before the world went into a pandemic. But remember, Norm was giving them like 20 plus all the time that
Yeah.
season when that was
Okay.
that was probably the biggest breakout season for him.
Yeah.
Was that stretch? Yeah, Norm's also on this list. So right now you have 3 more players who you have still yet to guess who have all won Player of the Week honors.
Any of them
as a
are
member
like
of the Toronto
any of them
Raptors.
are like more like older. Like,
We
are
got some
going
older
back?
ones. Yeah, we got some ones from the era when the Raptors used to actually just wear this purple jersey that the Raptors have a throwback on right now.
Just give me the year, man. What kind of compliment it
All
is?
right. These 2 guys were here post Vince. In that post Vince,
Vince.
between Vince and Chris Bosh breaking out era, that like Donyell Marshall era.
Donyell Marshall,
No, Donyell Marshall's not. No, I wouldn't give you that hint, man. Come on, man.
Mike James.
Mike James.
Did he get
yes.
one?
Yeah,
Okay.
MJ. Yeah,
Because
MJ
he was on
got
that
one.
little free agent heater. Yeah.
He
And
was.
then who else is during this era? You're
Someone
gonna have
else
to-
who
You're
is
gonna have to help me with this.
definitely in terms of talent, a top 10 Raptor in terms of just the talent that he had. This player had a really long career. He kind of finished his career more with the Raptors. He maybe had like 1 or 2 extra years after the Raptors, but we got him at the tail end when he wasn't as good, but he would still have some good games back then. He was like a triple double type of player.
Triple double?
Yeah, like a big forward who could ball handle.
No, you're gonna have to tell me this one.
I mean, if I gave you the hint, like
No, just tell me who it is. Tell me who it is.
he played on a very famous college team, maybe arguably the most famous college team.
Jalen Rose?
Jalen Rose, yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This man hyping Jalen Rose up. A walking triple double.
No, but you know what I mean? Like back then, like
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was the type of guy where he
No, I
got a
get
triple
it.
double. You can, yeah.
I'm just gonna
And
move
then
my Trey Young into view. I realize it's not in view, but you can keep talking.
Last one. Played for the Raptors only 1 season. Came out of with some silverware as well, but the Raptors did not want to keep him around.
He came with some silverware.
Only played 1 season with the Raps.
What? He was
Yeah.
old? Oh,
Yeah, he was old.
Olajuwon?
No,
No.
man. No,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
way
hold
off.
I'm losing the
way
plot here.
off.
Now I'm thinking about players on the Raptors
Way
who might
off.
have won Player of the Week on other
Olajuwon,
teams.
bro. Goodness, man.
Sorry, I'm mad distracted and tired.
The man was averaging like 6 and 6, man.
He came with some silverware?
No, he won some silverware in that 1 season he played for the Raptors. And this is also the year he got Player of the Week, obviously.
No, you're gonna have to tell me this one.
Let me give you some other hints.
Yeah.
This player now features quite prominently in podcasts and other media.
He features prominently, and he was on the Raptors, and he won some stuff here. He won like an award.
He won an award here. There's not that many award winners for the Raptors, man.
What did he win?
Well, I'm not gonna tell you because I feel
No,
like
tell
it's
me.
like
I've completely shut off the chat because I don't want to get
this
any
award is very heavily associated with him. Like this guy and another player have won the majority of this award
Oh,
for
Lou
the last
Will?
like 10 years. Yeah, Lou Williams. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the last hint I was gonna give you was like we were just in a city, but you know.
Yeah, you should have just said Magic City. Yeah. He had a wing named after it.
yo, yo, Lou Lips had a legendary career, man. Shouts to
Be
Lou
like
Will, man.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah. What was the other hint I was gonna give you, man? He was teammates with Allen Iverson.
Yeah, Hakeem Olajuwon was a wild flameout guess, man.
That was great. That was a
I don't know
crazy
what I
break,
was doing.
man.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what I was
so
doing. All right, that was fun.
That's kind of a who's who of Raptors
Yeah,
history, right
people
there.
love
you know?
people love these guessing things because we dropped the Task Malice
Mm,
pod today. We did our 30th anniversary draft and played the basketball reference game at the end. Me versus Task. You coming up with players who had come through the Raptors
yep.
organization, and yeah, I guess from a listening experience, it is kind of fun for people to
People love
kind
it,
of
man.
try to guess along and stuff. So
Yeah, I don't know
yeah.
why. We've been on this call for a while, but I just took in that you got the Landry Fields doll, aka the Trey Young doll.
No, I just moved it into view. Yeah.
Yo,
So
that
if
thing
people
is
want to know
killing me.
so the main thing for tonight is
Oh,
that
what
I
is this?
recently bought some Toronto Tempo gear, but I needed to like add an extra $8 to get free shipping.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I had to get a LeBron James or all-time scoring record can cooler.
Oh, it's
So
a cozy?
yeah, it's a cozy.
Oh, it's a beer
So,
cozy.
yeah, so I'm gonna
Br-
be using this one. Maybe I'll bring it out to bars too, like when we go out and like when I'm like having a beer, I can put this
Yo, that's
over the
crazy.
can.
This guy's the wildest LeBron stan, man.
Yeah.
Yo, what do you mean? If you,
Oh
you
man, I'm
pull
not
it
gonna
out
say
the
anything. It's
bar,
gonna have to be edited. Okay. All right,
That's
that's it. Great pod.
Yeah, man, great pod, man. This is pretty fun, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, Raptors winning has been pretty fun. It's been great seeing a huge audience in the chat here as well.
Yeah,
If you
shouts to the
haven't
chat,
already,
man. Hit
yeah,
the
man,
like. W's in the chat. But hit the like, man. Hit the like, subscribe.
hit the like before you go. Hit the subscribe so
do
you
all
know
that
every
stuff.
time we go live. Yeah, obviously, yeah, we were just in Atlanta for the last week, so go check out all the content, all the React pods from Atlanta were all really fun. We went on No Dunks as well. Last Friday's The Drop was also a really, really fun episode. Big shouts to Trey and Tass for, just setting the table and letting us be ourselves, which I think was really cool. I described it as like, it was kind of like when your Asian cousins come over, like, we it was kind of that vibe,
I don't know. All my cousins are in Hong Kong. I see them once every like 12 years. Yeah.
Damn, bro, Chinese New Year coming up. You're not gonna give them a little call, little WeChat. You know what I mean? Come on, man.
I guess I'll re-download WeChat. Yeah.
Little Gong Hei Fat Choi for all you.
Usually
your little
delete
Cantonese
WeChat
boys.
once we come back from China.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. My family members were like, "Yo, we're gonna add you to the group chat." I'm like, "Okay," and then I muted that group chat instantly. I'm sorry, man. There's like 60 people in there, and they're just sharing Douyin videos. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, check out our stuff. We got another pod
I'm
with Trey
good.
Kirby coming out later this week.
That's right.
We're
We got a great episode
drafting-
with Taz. That was already out
drafting
now.
favorite NBA rivalries with
Mhm.
Trey.
Yo,
And,
per
yeah.
sources, that Norm Powell interview coming out soon, man?
I don't know. I think
What
so.
do you mean? You don't know.
I think so. I don't know, man. I'm so tired from Atlanta. I don't know what happened. I feel like
Well, we were going nonstop.
it wasn't
in
like
Atlanta,
that
man.
crazy. Like I know we were
No,
doing
no,
a lot
no.
of work and stuff, but
Yeah,
like
I know. We don't want to make
Yeah.
it sound like we were just out there like partying. Like we honestly, there wasn't even much of that. Really, it
no,
was just a lot of
no.
working. I think at one point we did 4 pods in a 24-hour span, which is just not the way to do
Yeah.
Atlanta, man.
It's a lot of yapping, you know.
A lot of just
of-
chatting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of yapping,
lot
but
of
sometimes you
Carlos
gotta
Arroyo
remind
talk.
yourself it's cool to talk for a living, you know.
I mean, it's definitely cool, man. We just got sent to Atlanta because we were just covering the team. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Shouts
That's-
to the Nation Network, Betway crew.
hey, it's a good time out there in the ATL.
All right.
Thanks
Great
everyone for
pod.
listening. Yeah, there's a lot more content to come, so keep in mind for that and just stay tuned. And otherwise, for myself, Will, for Alex Wong, you've been listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. We will catch you on Wednesday.